as the deputy party leader for Jubilee. But then meanwhile, Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju spoke to Spice FM on the intrigues in Jubilee. Listen in.
Delegates Convention versus the National Executive Council versus the National Management Committee. The NMC, you reported the other day that NMC met and came up with a couple of resolutions. Just so that we don't quote you out of context, please tell us, what is it that the National Management Committee of the party decided?
Well, in terms of what I stated recently, I think I was asked by one of the media houses, I think part of their group, as to the decision that had been communicated by the NMC last year in October, and I think I did have a press conference to that effect. And the NMC had then recommended to the NEC the recommendation that the position of the deputy president was no longer tenable, and the NEC should look at it. Unfortunately, the NEC has not met so far, but that particular position remains active. And the biggest challenge we have is that then we were talking about Jubilee Asili. Now we are talking about UDA. So for all intents and purposes, there's a group of leading politicians in the party who have decided to basically defy and move out of the party. For all intents and purposes. Technically can still be in the party, but the optics we have seen of late are obvious that they have moved on, and we should let them be able to move on.
So, I mean, just as you said, they look like technicalities here or there. Is it something that the party is ready to accept, that there are people who technically say they're still part of the larger party as it is, but are also saying that they joined the party with the agreement that they would still be part of the little other parties that they had formed before? Can they operate with such technicalities, or are you asking that you're either in or you're out?
You know, the moment we see people or hear people invoking technicalities as a way of remaining in, it's obviously that people are not being honest.
Could you expound on that, please?
Well, you know, you can liken it to so many other things. You can say you're in a marriage because you have a marriage certificate, but the marriage is long gone. So the certificate is not the marriage.
So your actions belie your speech.
Yeah.
But Kenya has had a history of what we are dealing with now, with one exception, that we now have a situation that almost mirrors something we had at independence, where the president of the party also happened to be the president of the country, and the deputy president of the party also happened to be the vice president then. So what I want to ask Mheshimiwa is this: how do you actually distill and differentiate it? Are we talking about the deputy president? Are we talking about the deputy party leader? Let me explain why I'm asking this question. Because for many people, it's synonymous. If you say, you talk about the party and the position of the deputy party leader, the interpretation is you're talking about the deputy president. And how do you separate the two from a legal and from a constitutional position?
Well, from a constitutional position is the deputy president of the country. He does not have to be the deputy president of the party.
Yes.
The constitution is very clear that the deputy president is the deputy president, and they're sworn in as the deputy president of the country. They are not sworn in as deputy party leader.
Yes.
And therefore, the two are two different things.
But according to the party, if, let us say, this is an imaginary situation that I'm presenting. If the deputy president ceases to be a member of the party, can he then hold his position as the deputy president?
I think that is correct. He can still hold his position as deputy president unless he's impeached by Parliament.
Okay. Why I ask the question is because it seems to me, my interpretation from what I'm reading is that this is the beginning of a path to actually bring about this legal process we refer to as impeachment, by starting off with something that is perhaps easier and more tenable.
So testing the waters.
Testing the waters to see how that goes before the next stage is actually started upon. I could be wrong here, but that is my reading of it.
Well, you know, this is a wonderful country. You can read it the way you want to read it, and nobody will blame you for that. It's a wonderful country. We have this freedom. But let me hasten to add is that, you know, the problems we have in Jubilee Party are not exceptional to Jubilee. I think this is a problem we have as a country. Jubilee Party is still a work in progress. Just like Project Kenya, or what you can call it, Experiment Kenya, is work in progress. We are normally very sympathetic, and I, for one, am very sympathetic when I see some of what may look like defiance or not being obedient to the Jubilee Party. When I talk with the individual politicians, they tell me, look, Raphael, I mean, you know, this is because of our local politics in the village. We have to get some bonga points. It's nothing personal against the politics we have in this country is ethnic, and if you seem to be going against the ethnic kingpin of your region, you can be in very serious trouble. In fact, it could mean the end of your career. So it's a much more complex situation we're dealing with than just being obedient to the party.
So isn't it then the opportunity for you as Secretary General to look at how best to build a party that rises above this, rises above the ethnic kingpins, that rises above personalities and remains as a party?
That has been our desire. That was the desire of the party at the time when 13 or so political parties came together to become part of the Jubilee Alliance. The building blocks of Jubilee was essentially URP and TNA. I think the president took a great risk even to have me as the Secretary General of the party and to be at the center of the campaign against ODM. I think you have to appreciate that that was a big risk from the side of the president, because my village, actually my home to ODM leader and the presidential candidate 2013-2017, Raila Odinga, my village or my home to his home is just about 4 kilometers.
Right, you've heard it from Raphael Tuju talking about that planned